Let me ask you something slightly uncomfortable. If everyone your age lined up and showed their bank accounts, would you feel like a genius or quietly delete your banking app on the spot? Be honest, because that split-second reaction you just had, that hesitation, that curiosity, that mild panic, yeah, that's exactly why we're doing this. Most people have no idea where they actually stand financially. Not a rough idea, not a ballpark guess. No idea. We're all just guessing based on vibes, Instagram, and that one friend who invests but somehow speaks in riddles every time you ask a question. And the problem is, when everyone looks like they're doing well, it becomes really hard to tell if you actually are. So today we're ripping the filter off, not to judge you, but to show you what normal really looks like. And more importantly, how surprisingly easy it is to beat it. And trust me, right around the middle of this video, something's going to shift for you. You're either going to feel very relieved or very motivated. Let's begin with something simple, but wildly misunderstood. This is income. The median full-time worker makes about $52,000 a year. Sounds decent, right? Not amazing, not terrible, just respectable. Now subtract taxes, and suddenly that number starts shrinking fast. Now you're left with something that feels more like, wait, where did all of that go? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people aren't under-earning, they're under-keeping, because making money is one thing, but holding on to it is where most people lose. And that leads directly into something nobody talks about, honestly. Now here's where it gets interesting, spending. The average household spends about $67,000 a year. Let that sink in. They're spending more than the median individual earns, which means one of two things is happening: dual incomes or quiet financial chaos with a credit card limit. And if we're being honest, both are more common than people admit. But here's the wild part. Most of that spending doesn't feel extravagant. It's just life, housing, food, transportation, subscriptions you forgot existed. It's not one big mistake. It's 1,000 small ones. Death by 1,000, $12.99 per month. And because it feels normal, it doesn't feel dangerous, which is exactly why it is. And that naturally drags us into the next one. This is the silent killer, lifestyle creep. You ever notice how every raise somehow disappears? You make more, but your life quietly upgrades itself. No warning, no permission. Suddenly, your coffee isn't $3, it's $7. Your car isn't reliable, it's $600 per month. Your lifestyle just got expensive. And just like that, your new income becomes your new normal. Here's the punchline. Most people don't get broke overnight. They upgrade themselves into staying average. And the worst part, they think they're progressing, but their freedom didn't change. And that brings us to something that sounds responsible, but isn't enough. Savings rate. The average person saves about 6% of their income. 6%, that's not a strategy, that's a suggestion. At 6%, you're basically saying, I'd like to build wealth, slowly, maybe someday. Now compare that to what actually works. 10% to 20% or more, consistently. That gap, that's the difference between having options and needing permission, between retiring comfortably and searching for jobs that hire at 72. And if that sounds dramatic, this next one makes it real. Retirement savings, the median retirement savings, around $65,000. And remember, this includes people close to retirement. So let's do the math using the 4% rule. That's about $2,600 per year. Per year, not per month. That's roughly $216 a month. That's not retirement. That's a Netflix subscription with snacks. And yet, this is normal, which raises a bigger question. If savings are low, where's the money going? Ah, yes. Here we go. Credit card debt. The average household carries around $9,000 in credit card debt at interest rates that basically say, thanks for your purchase. We'll now charge you again for it. Here's what's crazy. People focus on investing returns while ignoring guaranteed losses. Paying 20% interest is the financial equivalent of running on a treadmill in the wrong direction. You're moving, you're trying, but you're not getting anywhere. And yet, it's incredibly common, which brings us to something people obsess over, but barely understand. Credit score. The average score is around 715, which is actually pretty good. So yes, most people are doing something right. But here's the twist. A good credit score doesn't mean you're wealthy. It just means you're good at managing debt. You can have a 750 score and still feel broke because credit score measures behavior, not financial strength. And that's why this next one matters more than almost anything else. Net worth. This is the real scoreboard. What you own minus what you owe. The median net worth, about $122,000. But if you're under 35, that number drops to around $14,000. 14, which is not rich. I hope nothing breaks this month. But here's the upside. This number is incredibly beatable, not with luck, not with perfect timing, just with consistency, which leads perfectly into something people ignore. Where the money actually goes: housing, transportation, food. That's where most of it disappears. But here's the real issue. People optimize the wrong things. They'll debate a $12 purchase, but casually commit to $500 per month expenses. Small decisions feel big. Big decisions feel normal. And that's how people stay stuck. And now we get to the one that ties everything together: the reality check. The average retirement age is around 61. Sounds great until you realize many people aren't retiring because they're free. They're retiring because they're tired. And many of them aren't ready financially, which means less flexibility, more dependence, and a lifestyle that shrinks. And that's the part nobody posts online. Now here's the thing. This might sound intense, but it should also feel encouraging, because the bar, it's not that high. It's save more than 6%, avoid high interest debt, spend intentionally, invest consistently. That's it. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be slightly better than average. And over time, slightly better becomes completely different life. So next time you wonder, am I behind? Ask a better question. Am I doing what most people are doing, or just a little bit better? Because now you know what normal looks like. And honestly, normal isn't that impressive. But the opportunity, that's the exciting part. Because you don't need to be extraordinary to win. Just intentional. If this made you think differently about your money, hit like and subscribe. But more importantly, start small. Because the people who win with money aren't the smartest. They're the ones who decided to play differently.